All right, good morning, YouTube. We are going to get right back into this religious talk here, or what is religion. All right. Last time I left off, I said I was going to talk about the three patterns among religions. Okay. Now, when we study religion in a comparative and historical sense, okay, not from a system, not from, I believe, or a faith sense, but a historical sense. Okay, historical sense. All right, which is not necessarily going to come from if your religion has a religious book, or even as maybe an oral tradition. It's not going to come from that. Okay, um, we we're not looking to validate our faith. Okay, we're not looking to validate these religions. Okay, we're not looking to disprove them. Okay, or approve them or anything like that, or to even to enhance our own belief or practice. That's not what we want. That's not what this is about. Okay, once again, like I said earlier, it's not like about your faith. This talk on religion that I'm doing is not about um, to confirm your particular belief system, or, you know, not confirm, but affirm it, or it's not to dismantle it or destroy it or anything like that. Okay, we are just looking at religion itself. Okay, not a particular religion, once again, but looking at religion itself from a historical sense, a comparative sense kind of analysis. All right, that's the we're not here to do it, to study our own personal religious tradition. All right. Now, when you're doing it from a comparative, like I said, a comparative analysis or historical sense, okay, what are we doing? What's the point of this? To comprehend the particular religions as thoroughly as possible. That's it. To comprehend particular religions as thoroughly as possible, and to understand the experience of the people within each religion. Remember, we talked about the characteristic emotional experiences. All right. A part of that process is to see the patterns of similarities and differences in religion. Okay, we're going to see some patterns. We're going to see some similarities in religions. We're going to see some differences in the various religions. Okay, now it's kind of hard to be completely subjective in doing this. Okay, of course, even in me doing this, from this analytical point of view or academic point of view, historical point of view, of course, I'm going to give examples of, as I share the information, I'm going to give examples based off of the religion that I know. Okay, or the religions that I understand, but definitely more specifically that I know. When I say know, that I have experienced thoroughly. Okay, which for me would be, and practiced, which for me would be Christianity. Now, there are some others that I have delved into and studied and practiced from, but I was born, into Christianity. I studied it, had studied all my life. Okay, going to Christian schools and so on and so forth. Okay, my own experience, my own studies, going to seminary, so on and so forth. So it's, it's, to be completely subjective is not 100% possible for me. All right. Now, let's look at these patterns. We got three patterns here that we find among religions. Okay. What are the three patterns I talked about? Focus of belief and practices, view of the world and life, okay, and the views of male and female. All right. Got my juice here. I want to drink up a little bit. I'll try to get this in before I go to class. Okay. Three basic orientations. Now, we're going to be looking at the world's dominant religions. Okay. The first orientation under the focus of beliefs and practices. That's the first pattern. Focus of beliefs and practices. Okay, and we have how many orientations? We got three orientations that fall under that. The first orientation is the sacramental orientation. What is that? It emphasizes carrying out rituals, the sacrament. Okay, we hear that's about the sacrament. That's the ritual. Okay, that's a ritual. Okay, emphasizes carrying out rituals and ceremonies regularly. Okay, like maybe every, I know, like for example, in the Catholic Church, I think every Sunday they do the Eucharist or, communion. All right, maybe in some other churches, maybe like the Protestant church, Christian churches, they may do it just once a month, but it's done regularly. Okay, that's a ceremony. That's a ritual. It's a ritual and um, embodied in a ceremony. Okay, that's done on a regular basis. Okay, and it's done, correctly. It has to be done a certain way. You can't be just all willy nilly and thrown together any old kind of way. Some people. Now, I'm not familiar with it in the Catholic Church, although I've been in the Catholic services where they do it. All right, but I'm not familiar with it. But like in some, Protestant churches, for example, correctly, there's a correct way to prepare it. There's a certain dress that the people who do prepare it, as well as distribute it, there's a certain way they dress. Okay, so on and so forth. Okay, this is the path that leads to salvation. Okay, I'm not talking about now, don't understand when I say that. Don't look at it as you may think, oh, no, not in my church. That ain't what leads to salvation. Okay, we're not talking about your church specifically. Okay, we're talking about, again, the general overview, okay, of religion. All right, so it leads to salvation. All right, and understand that salvation that must be reached is going to vary and be different from church to church. Honey, someone has allowed me to use an office here. And just burn it up. Ain't no windows in here. Oh my God. I asked him, I was like, is it warm in here? And him and somebody else laughed. They was like, yeah, it's nice and warm in there. Woo, okay. But we gonna get through this. Okay. So y'all see me fanning, but it's hot in this mud. All right. All right, but let's keep on going. Okay. In some religions, the correct ritual is believed to influence the process of nature. All religions, to some degree, have some degree of ritual, okay, but the ceremony tendency is predominant. All right, let's give some examples of that. Roman Catholic and Eastern Orthodox Christianity and Vedic Hinduism and Tibetan Hinduism. Okay, for example, making the Catholic sign of the cross. Okay, it's done in a certain way, only with the right hand. Okay, beginning with a touch on the forehead, then on one's chest, and finally on each shoulder, left to right. Okay, it's not done, it boom, 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 boom. Okay, it's done a specific way. Okay, now let's look at the second orientation, prophetic orientation. Okay, what is this? Okay, this stresses the contact with the sacred. Okay, prophetic. Okay, where we get the word. Okay, to share with the people from the sacred. All right, or God, for example. Okay, this is ensured by proper belief and by adherence to moral rules. Okay, contact with the sacred is ensured by proper belief. Okay, whatever the belief system is. Okay, and understanding it properly and appropriately. All right, and adherence to moral rules. Okay, so let me see. Okay, let's see. This orientation also implies that a human being may be an important intermediary between the believer and the sacred. Okay, so once again, like the prophet, they get the word, okay, that needs to be shared with the people or whatever, okay, that needs to be given to that community of believers, okay, who believe in that particular thing. They get it from, okay, the sacred, that person, that, okay, like I said, prophet, for example. Here we have it. A prophet may speak to believers on behalf of the sacred. Okay, we see that in the prophetic books in the Bible, okay, the book of the prophets. All right. Prophetic orientation is prominent is a prominent aspect of Judaism, like I said. Okay, the prophetic books in the Old Testament, Protestant Christianity, which Protestants do follow the Old Testament. Okay, and Islam. Okay, which all see the sacred as being transcendent. Okay, transcendent above them, okay, greater than them, more powerful than them, and above all of this, all right, this realm that we are in, where we have been, detached from the sacred or separated from the sacred, yet this God is still personal. This sacred is still personal in that the sacred will take the time to even speak, okay, to someone that may have been chosen to get the word from the sacred to give it to the community, okay, whatever that may be. Okay. 3, mystical orientation. Now he says in the book, a good example would be that would be like the television crusades of evangelistic ministers are good examples of prophetic orientation. Your pastor is a good example of prophetic orientation. Okay, the priest. Okay, the imam. Okay, I would even say a shaman in your more what's the word I'm looking for? He uses the word tribal. I really don't like using that word. Indigenous, okay, is what I would usually use, okay, religions and practices. All right, those are other good examples. Now, you may say, well, a pastor is not necessarily a prophet. No, not necessarily, but do they, and then preparing whatever it is. I was about to say speech, but not necessarily speech, preparing their sermon, okay, to share with the people. Okay, would be a word that they would get from the sacred, whatever the sacred may, they feel drops in their spirit, okay, or feel that they want to let the people know. That is still a part of prophetic orientation, okay. Mystical orientation is the third orientation. What is the mystical orientation? It seeks union with a reality greater than oneself, okay. That's the mystery. Okay, that's the mystical orientation. What's the union that's being sought? That's greater than oneself, God. Okay, or what we call the sacred. Okay, maybe even the process of nature, understanding nature. That is a mystery. Okay, what is this thing that nature does? How does it do it? So on and so forth. How do we connect with it? Okay, we talk about going out into nature sometimes when we need to ground ourselves. Okay, connecting once again with that sacred. Okay, that the mystical. How is it so that nature, going out in nature, how is it that that's going to help keep us grounded? Because it connects us back to the sacred. All right. The universe, for example, or reality as a whole. Okay. There are techniques, okay, meditation, for example, in which to do this to help lessen one's individual identity, to lessen yourself, okay, so that you can ground yourself, okay, and get connected to the sacred. All right. All right. Let me see. Yes. Okay, these things help with greater unity. Meditation is an example. Prayer is an example. Let me see what else they may give here. I don't agree with him on this. He says, although the mystical orientation is more common in religions that stress the immanence of the sacred, or that are non-theistic, it is an important but less prominent tendency in Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. I definitely do not agree with that. Okay. Hell, in Islam, they pray 5 times a day. Okay, what do you mean? That's connecting. You understand what I'm saying? That's that mystical orientation connected to the sacred. So I do not agree with the author on that. Okay, I believe in Judaism too. It's supposed to be a prayer of 3 times a day. Okay, I believe so. So I don't agree with him on that. Okay, just because I'm using this book, it's like some things I don't agree with. It's just like that doesn't make sense to me. All right. Okay, let's keep on going here. Now, let's look at the second pattern, views of the world and life, all right? Now, we got about 7 bullet points under this, all right? So the second pattern in religion is how that religion views the world, how it views life. Here we go into those questions being answered about who are we? Why are we here? Okay, what is our purpose? Okay, what is this space and place that we're in? How did we get disconnected, or how did we get separated, okay, from the sacred? Okay, so and how do we connect back to the sacred? All right, here we find All right. The second pattern, views of world and life. This is where those questions are answered. Okay. Religions provide answers to the great questions people ask, like I just said. Okay. How did the universe come into existence? How did this even happen? Okay. We have creation stories. Christianity and Judaism is not the only religion with a creation story, of course. Okay. Does it have a purpose? Like I was saying before in the other video. Okay. What is the purpose of all of this? Okay. What is the purpose of this space and place? What is the purpose of us being separated from, the great, okay, that mystical, powerful, omnipotent presence that we call the sacred, or that some religions call God? Will it end? This shit going in. You understand what I'm saying? Oh, we got to deal with this forever. You know what I'm saying? Will it end? Okay. And what is the ending going to be? What is that about? Okay. Like we will find that in our prophetic books in the Bible, okay, or in Revelation. Okay. What is time? This is another one. Views of world and life. Okay. How should we make use of time? Okay. What should be our relationship to the world of nature? Should we have a relationship with nature? Okay. How is nature viewed? Okay. The religions, the various religions, okay, they speak to that. Okay, gives us some answers. It's almost like basically what it's saying is, how I view it is basically telling you how to be human. Shit, how to live in the world, how to adapt to your surroundings, okay, so that you can be successful, okay, and literally not lose, in a sense, lose yourself, lose your mind, so on and so forth, okay. It grounds, it helps to ground people, okay. Why do humans exist? Why do human beings exist? Once again, why are we made separate? Okay, from the creator, okay, or from God, okay, because not all of religions that you have some religions where okay, like in Judeo-Christian culture, for example, we call God the creator, and that is the all in all. He created all of this, okay. He is above all, so on and so forth. Whereas some religions, the creator is that created, or the deity that created is not the dominant deity, is not the greatest deity. There was a deity to create. Okay. Why do human beings exist? How do we reach fulfillment? Okay. Definitely. Okay. Human beings look to be fulfilled. Okay. And we feel that often that if we find our purpose, then therefore we will find fulfillment. All right. So people want fulfillment. Okay. Religions help to answer that question, or to help people find fulfillment. Okay. I once was lost, but now I'm found. You understand what I'm saying? For example, okay, you may hear people when they have transformed whatever the transformative process is in that particular religion, okay, now they feel fulfilled. Now they feel they have a purpose. Now they feel they know who they are. They are directed, okay, by that. Their life has guidance. Okay. Salvation. How do we reach fulfillment? Transformation. Salvation. Okay. What is salvation necessarily? Often salvation really is just about, like what we were saying, that religion are read again, lig to join, connect. That salvation just connects us once again back to the divine, back to source, back to God, for example. Okay. Why is there suffering in the world? Okay. Some religions help to answer that question. Okay, why there's suffering. Like in Christianity, for example, why is there suffering? Because man sinned. Okay, man separated themselves from God. God gave them, created to being, gave them a direct order. Okay, they disobeyed that order. All right, we're gonna get into that specific story later when we get into Christianity. Well, really when we get into Judaism. Okay, because when you talk about Christianity, you can't talk about it without talking about Judaism. Okay, from our understanding, historically, Christianity comes directly out of Judaism. All right, so we'll get into that specific story when we get into Judaism. Once again, remember, we're just talking about a general covering of religions. We're not talking about a specific one, but I am using examples from a specific religion. Okay, all right. So why is there suffering in man's sin? That's why. Okay, it was given direct order. This is what one particular religion says. They were given direct order. Okay, they disobeyed God and caused suffering on themselves. This is why. So that answers that question. Okay, and many people believe this. That's part of the belief system. Okay, how should we deal with it? Now, how should we deal with the suffering? Okay, one way a particular religion will tell you how to deal with that suffering. How do we deal with this, the man's sin? So that caused suffering. So now what do we do? Okay, give your life to. Okay, this particular deity came and, for example, in Christianity, Son of God, Jesus, okay, he's the Son of God, and he came, to offer redemption to the world. Okay, the sins of the world were laid upon him as he hung on that cross. Okay, this is an example of how it is dealt with. Okay, what happens when we die? That's another question. Where do we go? Okay, to some religions, it depends on what you did in this life. Okay, some religions say you're just going to come back. Okay, but that even still depends on what you did in your current life. Okay, it's going to make a difference of what happens in your next life. All right, and we will, again, I'm talking about Hinduism, for example. When we get to Hinduism, that will be further explained. All right, what should we hold? And again, how Hinduism looks at it. Okay, and we will go through each religion and how these questions are answered in each religion. Okay, that will be covered here. What should we hold as sacred? Okay, your religion will tell you that. Okay, various religions will tell you according to its particular, outlook, view of the world and life. It will tell you what to hold sacred. Okay, the questions don't vary. You understand what I'm saying? Amongst these various religions, you find these same questions. Okay, regardless of culture, okay, race, so on and so forth, regardless of the religions. However, what does vary? The answers vary. The answers are not going to be the same, okay? And how are these answers, how do they come by these answers? Once again, like we said, which came first, culture or religion, okay? It's like you talk about language, for example, which came first, language, did the culture come out of the language, so on and so forth, okay? But again, religion and culture, it is like this. It is intrinsically tied. They are one, basically they're one and the same. Your religion, your culture, the philosophy, it is basically one and the same. All right, now let's get into these bullet points here. What is the first bullet point under the view of world and life under the second pattern? The nature of sacred reality. Okay. The nature. What is the nature of the sacred reality? What is the nature of the sacred, or what is the nature of God? Okay. And I'm just saying God for the sake of, communication. Not every religion uses that term. Okay. What is the nature of God, basically? The nature of sacred reality. Some religions speak of the sacred again, once again, as what? Transcendent. What does that mean? It means that the sacred exists in a realm beyond the everyday world. Okay, the sacred ain't sitting right here next to me or sitting right there next to you. The sacred exists beyond this. This is our everyday world. Okay, the sacred exists beyond this. All right, or God exists beyond this, up there in the heavens somewhere. Okay, or in heaven, for example. Okay, in other religions, the sacred reality is spoken of as immanent. What does that mean? Okay, meaning that it is within the sacred, or God is within nature. It is within nature, not separate from it, above it, okay, or transcendent, away from it in a whole nother realm. No, it is in nature, and human beings can be, okay. Oh, it is within nature and human beings, excuse me, okay, and can be experienced as energy and or holiness, okay. So the sacred exists in nature and human beings. Now, well, as I do this and go into this, we have to understand human beings are nature as well. Okay. And we will see that as we, kind of look more into some of the Eastern philosophies and the Eastern religions here. Human beings are nature. Okay. Human beings, now in the Western world, no, we do not look at ourselves as nature. We do not view ourselves as nature. In Western culture, Western thought, we view ourselves as separate from it. Okay. But so here, immanent, it is within nature, immanent. Okay, you can kind of hear within in that word. Okay, within nature and within human beings. Okay, and once again, it can be experienced as energy or holiness. Okay, now, like I said, some of these things, we're going to find, well, at least I did. You will find more similarities in these religions than you will. Well, you will find similar. I'm not going to say more than differences. Okay, I feel from what I'm sharing, because I'm going to be giving just ground covering, just covering the foundations here of these religions, okay, and origins and whatnot. I do feel like that there are more similarities than there are differences. Okay, so we say that, okay, but yet we will hear God is within us, in our Western world. Now, I'm not quite sure. I don't know if that is biblical. Now, and when I say Western, I am talking the Bible, because our culture in the West is Judeo-Christian. It is a Judeo-Christian culture. What is the holy book that comes from that? The Bible. Okay. I'm not, and I'm talking again, okay, a broad covering here, all right. I'm not quite sure if the idea of God existing within us is biblical, but one thing that is biblical is where we find twice where Jesus said, "Ye are gods," and we find in Psalms 82:6, "Ye are gods." Okay, so I don't know if that would be, I don't know if that's can be viewed as saying, God is with, ye are gods. Is that saying God is within us, or is that just generally saying, you're a God? You understand what I'm saying? But even though that's part of the Bible, okay, which is Judeo-Christian, like I said, you don't really find that spoken of that much, okay, in the culture. I'm talking about in the culture. I'm not talking about your own individual, maybe your group within the culture, your friends, or some other books that you have read, okay? Because no, I'm talking about the culture in general, at large, okay? But you don't really find that spoken of much. You don't really hear, pastors and whatnot. You don't hear that preached about much in the churches. You understand what I'm saying? You don't hear too much about those scriptures. Ye are gods, okay? Maybe because it can't be necessarily explained, because that's not what the tenet of uh, Judeo-Christianity. That's not a tenet or doctrine, part of the doctrine, or one of the tenets of it, even though it's in that holy book that they use. Okay, but let's just keep on going. Okay, sometimes the sacred is viewed as having personal attributes, like I said before, okay, while elsewhere it's seen as an impersonal entity. Okay, you know, let's just keep on going. Let me see. Okay, God loves us. That's a personal attribute. Okay, God is a he, she, or whatever the case may be. That's a personal attribute. God gets angry. God feels like this. God is jealous. These personal attributes. Where in some it's like it's not. God created and God went on about it. God's business. You're on your own. Okay, you may find that in some other. That kind of idea in other religions. Okay, separate from us. All right, impersonal. Neither love you or hate you, just nothing. Okay, no personal attributes at all. All right, certain religious traditions, specifically Buddhism is what he's using here. It's hard to point to the sacred reality at all. We will see that when we get to Buddhism. Okay, in Buddhism now there are many branches of Buddhism. Okay, we're not going into all the specific branches. We're just going to give a basic covering, and we will see in Buddhism, okay, there really was no talk about God, and there's a reason for that. And when we get to Buddhism, we'll go over that. All right, it does not. Some people think that means, okay, well, if they don't talk about God, then that means they're atheists. No, that does not mean that. Okay, it's not an if then based on your particular worldview and understanding. No, broaden. Okay, but when we get into it, like I said, we will see why the Buddha, or Siddhartha Gautama, who became known as the Buddha, we will see why there is no talk of God there. So anybody out there who's watching this and feels and has believed all their life that Buddhists worship the Buddha, absolutely not. That, and I'm not laughing at you, okay, if you have felt that way. That is not a part of Buddhism. Okay, they do not worship Buddha as God. Buddha is not a God. Okay. But see, often these are the things we hear these things and we believe. I had a student one time who textbook right in his face, all the information right there, and you're taking the class. Okay. And he just could not believe that, but he was Christian. Okay, was a deacon or minister in his church or whatever. He just could not believe that Buddhists did not, that was not a part of Buddhism, that they did not worship the Buddha, and that the Buddha was not a god and not a deity. You understand what I'm saying? That they did not worship the Buddha. He couldn't believe it, you know. And not only was his book telling him, the other students were telling him who had studied on their own. And I'm like, it's right there in your book on page such and such. Okay. People actually do go out and do the studies, dig up the earth, find this information, read, the writings on the walls and so on and so forth to help us understand, the history of the peoples of our world, of this earth plane that we are on. Okay. Well, I was told all my life, yeah, but you were also told all your life by people who didn't know themselves. They didn't know. He could not divorce himself from the fact that that was wrong. Okay. Who told you that? People who didn't know. They only went by what they thought. Okay, and maybe other people told them that, or what they thought they thought they knew, what they thought maybe they observed some things in their observation. They thought that's what was happening. It's like that. No, that's not what's happening there. Okay, no. But a lot of times when people, if you have feel a particular certain way, you're not going to go to a Buddhist temple or to talk to a Buddhist or whatever, because you already have this idea up in your mind, and you may have an idea of a certain thing in your mind, and you're looking down on them because they're worshiping a false god, a false idol, according to your particular belief system, not according to the particular belief system. Okay, according to your particular belief system, that is for you and you alone, and maybe your community, but not for all peoples of the world. Often you're not going to even go to talk to a person who does practice that to get an understanding. No, you just think you know, and especially if you have this attitude of looking down on them because they don't believe the way in which you do, or they don't practice the way in which you do. Their worldview is not that of yours. We have to understand that how you view the world, how you live in the world, is not how all peoples of the earth view the world, live in the world. Their thinking is different, believe it or not, and it is not to be compared to yours as though to look at yours as though it is the standard for what it should be for everybody else walking the face of the earth. You understand what I'm saying? One thing that I would do when I used to teach is, one of the assignments was, you had to go to these various temples that were here in the Northeast Ohio area. You had to go to a Buddhist temple. You had to go to, did we have a Hindu? Did I make them do? Yeah, a Hindu temple. You had to go to a mosque. You had to go to a church. You had to go to what's the other one? A synagogue. Okay, and write a paper on your experience. Okay, places that you would never go to. Okay, but yet you think you know and you think you understand, only based off of your particular faith. Okay, you may pass it all the time. Hell, I didn't even know that was there. I go down that street all the time. Exactly, because it's not a part of your world. It's not a part of your everyday existence, and that's okay. Okay, but we're taking a class. Okay, we're going to broaden our understanding of who we are, and the world around us. I probably won't be able to get through this whole thing because I got to go to class soon. All right, but let's keep on going. Okay. Such facts raise the question as to whether the sacred exists outside of ourselves. Does the sacred exist outside of ourselves? Or is it better to speak of the sacred simply as what people hold to be sacred? All right, but let's move on. The nature of the universe. That's the second bullet point under views of the world and life. And what is the nature of the universe? How does it work, basically? Okay. Some religions see the universe as having begun by an intelligent personal creator. There we go. Okay. In the beginning, God created. God, made. Okay. This personal creator continues to guide the universe according to a cosmic plan. This God got a plan. Okay, and he created it. I got a plan for it, and I'm gonna help. I'm gonna guide it. I'm gonna send prophets and so on and so forth. To help guide it to according to the plan that I have for it. All right. Other religions view the universe as being eternal. Okay, that it doesn't have a beginning nor an end. Now, I could have sworn. Okay, shit. I don't know if it's what is this the Mandela effect or what. I could have sworn when I was in seminary. Okay, because I have been looking at something like this, or I heard something like this, and I remember finding a scripture that said something to the effect of, the earth has always been and will always be. Okay, something to that effect. Now you may be like, Sister Kenyatta, where? I don't know. I could have sworn maybe it was in the Psalms or something like that. But man, we talking about 20 some years ago. Okay, I don't remember. I just remember seeing that written, and because I was in the church at the time, so that was my faith. I was Christian, and that's what I followed and believed. And I remember seeing that, and I remember being in awe. Okay, I cannot tell you because I haven't seen it since. Okay, and I'm like, I know I saw that. Okay, but we're just gonna keep on going. Okay, but so remember, some religions, they feel like there was a beginning to this universe. Okay, by a creator, there was a deity that created it, and some say no, it's always been. Okay, there was no beginning. Okay, and no beginning. I would even take it a step further, maybe saying, as we understand beginnings, as we understand it in our finite understanding. Now they say, I remember I was listening to someone yesterday, and she reiterated it. I remember when I was in school, I was in the 8th grade. Shit, I'm 49 years old now. I'll be 50 next month, in the 8th grade, where they taught us in science that humans use like only 10% of their brain potential. I kind of you would think that by now it would have increased, but sometimes I kind of think it's less than 10% right now because of all the distractions that we have, okay, to keep us from exercising that muscle, to keep us from reading, to keep us from studying, or to keep us from meditating, or to keep us from going out and exploring, and expanding our horizon and doing whatever we need to do to expand that muscle called our brain, personally. Okay. But anyway, so understand that as we understand beginning within our finite, development. All right. They still, for at least from my understanding, hell, they still can't figure out how they built the pyramids. Okay. And how long ago was that? Okay. So, it don't, if you look at things like that and being in awe of, because we think that the things are linear. Okay, a linear progression. Down low now, look at how advanced we are, and there's still, what we call archaeologists, so on and so forth, through digging up and looking up and finding and seeing, so on and so forth, all over the earth, and finding these great civilizations that existed, and were able to do things that, they can't figure out. Well, hell, how the hell did they even do this? You understand what I'm saying? Having plumbing, and we'll get into that when we get into Hinduism, okay? And what was this? BC, okay? In certain parts of the world, okay? And we think that we're so advanced, all right? There was something I found on the internet. If I find it, maybe I'll post a link to it if it's still there, because I used to share it with my students. They found that how the temples were built, and they did a bird's eye view of the temples and how they were built in ancient Kemet or Egypt, and they compared it. They looked at the computer chip, and the computer chip. It was the structure of it followed the pattern of the way in which the temples were built. Okay, there's some questions. There have been some studies done, at least from my understanding, where they look and they say, okay, it even looked like they had electricity way back then. Okay, during these quote unquote ancient times. But yeah, our progression is like this linear way of being. Okay, and we're going to get more into that, how and various cultures, some view the world as linear and some as cyclical. Okay. But let's keep on going, all right? But once again, back to what I was saying, as far as the nature of the universe, where some say, no, there was never a beginning or never an end. And there will never be an end, All right. All right, let's see. The implications of these two positions are quite important to what is central in a religion, okay? And how the human being acts in regard to the central belief. How do we act, okay? Based off of that particular, belief. Okay, we're going to act different because our understanding of the nature of the universe, how it came to be, okay, is different. All right, let's see. Okay, if the universe is created, especially by a transcendent deity, remember that transcendent deity, okay, then what is the center, okay, of sacredness? The creator. That's the center because he created it, okay, and he got a cosmic plan for it, right? Okay, so the center is the creator, not the universe. Okay, the focus is the creator, not the universe. Okay, but human beings imitate the creator by changing and perfecting. No, yeah, by changing and perfecting the world. Okay, now if did I do that right? Let me see. Okay. If the universe is eternal, however, the material universe itself is. If it's eternal, we say that the creator is eternal, that God is eternal, okay? And that the universe is just a part of God's creation, therefore having a beginning and an end. However, if the universe is eternal and doesn't have a beginning and an end, okay, then the universe itself is sacred and perfect and requires no change yet. Because it's perfect. It ain't got no beginning and end. That's how we look at God. God has no beginning, no end. God is sacred. God is perfect, okay? Then if the universe is, then it requires no change. It don't need us to do anything, okay, to perfect it, okay, as the universe does. All right. The third bullet point here under views of the world and life is the human attitude towards nature. What is our attitude towards nature? How do we view nature? How do we understand nature? How do we treat nature? Do we respect it? Do we disrespect it? Is it important to us? Okay. Do we have any connection to it? So on and so forth. All right. So here, let's look at this. At one end of the spectrum, some religions or religious schools see nature as the realm of evil forces that must be overcome. What do you mean by that? Okay, some religious schools or religious schools of thought, some religions, so on and so forth, okay, see nature as evil. Now, when I first saw that, I was like, huh? You understand what you mean, see it as evil, okay? And when I think of evil, typically we think of a devil or Satan, demons, that type of thing, okay? How do a religion see nature as that? Let's go on. We're going to find out, okay? And nature must be something that must be overcome, okay? For them, nature. But what we talking about when we talk about nature? Of course, nature, I just automatically thought the trees, the grass, the lakes, the seas, the mountains, so on, things that we see when we go outside, basically nature. All right. For them, back to this, for them, nature is gross. It's contaminating. Okay. It exists in opposition to the non-material world, in opposition. Think about the culture that sees something as anything as in opposition to it. Okay, this war type of a culture. Everything is a war. Everything is a fight. Everything is a battle. Okay, relationships is a battle. Okay, everything. Shit, you in your car to go to work. Okay, you're battling with the driver. They battling with you to be in front of you. You battling with it. I mean, just I go faster than you. All of this type of shit that we find constantly fighting, warring with one another. Okay, nature is gross. It's contaminating. It exists in opposition to the non-material world of the spirit. Okay, this view is known as dualism. Okay, duality. Okay. This is held by some forms of Christianity, Jainism, and Hinduism. By some forms. Okay, we're not gonna go over each form. Okay, for this whole series that I'm doing. Okay, I don't have enough information to go over each and every single branch of Judaism or Hinduism or Christianity, for example. Okay, we're going to talk about basically where those branches came from. Okay, the central point, the cornerstone of it. All right. Now, at the other end of the spectrum, as in Taoism and Shinto, nature is sacred. It's considered to be sacred and needs no alteration. Shit, that shit is fine like it is. You don't need to be altered. What are you doing? It's fine. It's perfect. Okay, as it is. Okay. Other religions, such as Judaism, Islam, they take a middle ground, holding that the natural world originated from divine action. Okay, but human beings still need to tend to it, take care of it. Okay, shape it, mold it. Okay, lest it get wild and out of control. All right. All right. 4, time, which I'm running out of. Man, wish I had more time here. Yeah, I can't go over all 7 points, okay? 4. Well, I'm thinking I was just going to post this, but maybe, no, yeah, I'm going to post it because I won't have time later today to finish this out, okay? So this would just be like part 1 or part 2. Okay, time. Religions that emphasize a creation. Okay, this is a bullet point. Time under views of world and life. Religions that emphasize a creation, like I was saying, tend to see time as being linear, just this straight line. Okay, you just, we start from the beginning, the low point, and then as we go straight and forward or whatever, things just get better and better, but linear. Okay, we find that in Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. We find that in our Western world. That's our Western way of thinking. All right, moving in a straight line from the beginning of the universe to the end. Okay, being limited and unrepeatable. Like I said, we started at the bottom, going straight forward. Now we're doing better. Now we at the top. Okay, that's the linear. Here's the beginning, and now we're going to the end, but we're getting better, so on and so forth. Nothing is being repeated. Okay, it just gets better. Okay. Well, I want to say worse, but generally we think better. Okay, being limited and unrepeatable. So therefore, time is important. Okay, time is of the essence. Don't we hear that type of thing? Okay, be on time. You only have so much time. Utilize your time, okay, to the best of your ability. So on. Don't waste time. Okay, time is important. Okay, the universe simply moves. Okay, now in some other religions, okay, such as Buddhism, for example, time is cyclical. It's cyclical. Okay, all right. The universe just moves through endless changes. Okay, and these changes repeat themselves over grand periods of time. Okay, maybe we ain't talking about like 20 years or nothing like that. Okay, maybe something that we saw millions of years ago, hundreds of years ago, it's going to repeat itself. Okay, because it's just cyclical. Okay, all right. Let me see. In such a religion, time is not as crucial or real because ultimately the universe is not moving to some final point. Okay, it's not moving to a final point. Okay, consequently, appreciating the present may be more important than being oriented to the future. Okay, now you will hear things like we say nowadays. Okay, the present. Okay, be focused on the present. Okay, the present is a gift, for example. Okay, so some of these ideas that we find now, some people may say, "Oh, this new age belief." No, it ain't new. You understand what I'm saying? Some of these beliefs are ideas that have elements that we may find in other philosophies in other parts of the world, but Eastern philosophies, okay, Eastern culture, Eastern religion, so on and so forth, okay, and then we kind of put things together and have an amalgamation of different thought, okay, which is why I feel like the study of religion is important. Okay, not for you to necessarily be just knowledgeable about a specific religion or particular religion, because according to this and what religion is, human beings gonna make another religion. You can get rid of the ones you got now, but they're gonna just form others, and you have many others that are in formation under while you have these major ones that are the we understand as religions, okay, but then you have these little other ones all around, because this is what human beings do. Okay, it gives us that connection that we need in these other things that were covered already. All right, so I gotta go. Class is about to be over. Okay, let me say this real quick. In such a religion where time is cyclical, time is not as crucial or real. So we hear a lot of people say now, in our Western world, these things, okay, that have been adapted, okay, or adopted from other philosophies from around the world or other parts of the world or other cultures, okay, not like our own. Time is not as crucial or real because ultimately the universe is not moving to some final point. It's not. It's just going to keep on going. Okay. Consequently, appreciating the present may be more important than being oriented to the future. Did I say that? I might have. Okay. All right. I might have said that, didn't realize it from all my talking. All right. I got to go. I'm going to post this. I'm going to get back and do some more of this when I have time. I just happen to have some time this morning. I hope you all appreciate this. Like, share, and subscribe. You can comment below. If you are looking for maybe a reading, a tarot reading, I do tarot readings, I do psychic readings, I do mediumship. You can contact me at www.kenyatasintuition.com, and you can book an appointment right through the site, okay? If you have some questions, you can contact me at kenyatasintuition@yahoo.com. All right, y'all be blessed. Peace.